joining us this morning here. It's a little break from our typical weekly conversations. This one is a much more urgent one, which is as a result of what's going to be happening later today around a very destructive bill as it relates to parents' rights here in the state of Maine. I'm going to turn it over. We have a number of really great speakers who are well versed on this issue here this morning to share why what's happening is so problematic to parents' rights, so should be so concerning to everybody that has a child here in the state of Maine and even outside of the state of Maine. I'm going to turn it over to House Republican Leader Billy Bob Falkingham, and then we'll come back for questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. We're holding an emergency press conference today on an act to safeguard gender-affirming health care. And what exactly is that? Well, it is probably the most disgusting and disturbing bill that has ever been presented in the Maine legislature. This bill allows the state to take jurisdiction over children. And if you don't believe me, read the bill. It's right there. And it allows them, in addition to the statute that's already there on abandoned children, it adds in, or because the child has been unable to obtain gender-affirming health care or gender-affirming mental health care. It's right there, clear in print. There will be some speakers that will get into the details of why this is such a terrible bill, but we Republicans are here today calling on the Democrats on the Judiciary Committee to kill this bill today. We're asking them, do not go further with this bill. We are saying that today this bill needs to die. Kill this bill today because it is the most disgusting and disturbing bill we have ever in my time seen in the Maine legislature. So I'm going to hand this off now to, where am I at? Senator Guerin.
Representative Falkingham is totally right. The job of judiciary today is to kill this bill. I speak to you as a child advocate, a mother, a grandmother, a former public school teacher. This bill applies to children of all ages and with no exceptions. I've had parents contact me from around the country who are opposed to their usurpation of their parental rights by what this could do here in Maine. This could take away the rights of a parent who is the custodial parent and have a non-custodial parent kidnap a child and bring it to Maine as long as it was for the purpose of conversion therapy. Who's going to vet these parents to see why they have lost custody of these children? What if it's a neighbor who feels like they need to intercede and they take the child from after school care and head for Maine? The Maine law enforcement would be instructed to not intervene and return that child to their parents. This is a ridiculous bill that would have lifetime consequences for the children involved. It could be used by traffickers to bring children to Maine to be mutilated and then be put into the sex trafficking community. It is just unacceptable in all ways and a drastic departure from our constitutional rights of parental authority. Many times we look at, in judiciary, we look at bills and say, well, grandparent rights are always trumped by parental rights. This bill would trump parental rights for strangers that could bring children to Maine to be mutilated without the parents' consent and without the parents' ability to get their child back and bring them back to whatever state they were from. We must kill this bill. It should be killed today unanimously. I'd like to introduce Representative Hagan, who from Hamden.
Thank you very much, Senator Guerin. Hi, I'm David Hagan. I represent House District 36 in Hamden and Newburgh. I'm a teacher, and I'm a father, and I'm a son. All parents, all moms and dads in this country should be shocked and alarmed at the bill that is before us today. We will be voting on this afternoon. This affects people, parents in all 50 states. My phone has been ringing off the hook from Texas, North Carolina, Florida, you name it. This can't be happening, Dave. Yes, it is. And what do we do? Well, we tell everybody that we know in the state of Maine to pressure these Democrats to kill this thing. What it does is it takes any child at any age, under the age of 18, who may be confused about this or that or what have you, and people trolling whatever, they get them on a bus, they send them to Maine, we'll pay for it. It's all taxpayer paid. They'll get here, they'll apply puberty blockers, and even perform a full sex change operation on a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old. I just can't believe I'm standing here. This to me is just shocking. Children making these life-altering decisions, they can't. Your frontal lobe isn't fully developed until you're 26. How many times have people talked to me and said, gosh, Dave, I really, really regret what I did when I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. And yet the state of Maine is going to take and kidnap these children without the parental consent or knowledge from anywhere in the country and bring them here and do these terrible things. At taxpayer, we're going to pay it. The people of the state of Maine, out of the general fund, are going to pay for this thing. Law enforcement is not allowed to get involved. They're supposed to keep this as the lowest priority. So police in the state of Maine can't take that child and bring it back to you, the horrified mother or father. Amber Alerts and kidnapping reports from other states will happen. People are desperate for where's my child? And they're here and we're operating on them. Judicial orders from other states will not be honored by the state of Maine. This bill has to go. I made a motion the other day, let's just bring the bill back and kill it last week. And it was denied on party line. How can this be a party line vote? How could any mother or father ever approve of this? Whether Democrat or Republican, we need to unite as human beings and end this thing. Thank you very much. And I would like to bring up my good friend, Representative Henderson.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I won't belabor the points that have already been made, but the basic, we have very few asks. One of them is we don't want Democrats to give jurisdiction to the state of Maine to take custody of your children if you choose non-gender affirming options for them. We believe here in the state of Maine that parents' rights are absolute. This is a complete egregious act of government overreach, and it's reaching right into your children's bedrooms, it's reaching into your homes, and it's completely uncalled for. This would effectively turn Maine into a child trafficker sanctuary state. That is something that it's silly to say that's something that we don't want, right? It's disgusting. I am a member of the Judiciary Committee. I sat through the public hearing of 1735 and heard person after person come forward as adults and talk about their detransitioning stories. Were incredibly moving, how they are permanently, physically changed for the rest of their lives. A woman at 25 who has full osteoporosis, is in menopause, will never physically look the same because of decisions that she made at 14 based on the suggestions by her medical provider. Now imagine our children sitting in those hospital rooms with doctors and a state worker and no parent to advocate for them. That is what the future of Maine looks like if this bill passes. We hear that bill this afternoon. As a member of Judiciary Committee, I can promise you that I will be voting on not to pass. Thank you. And I'm introducing my good friend, Representative Katrina Smith from Palermo.
Thank you. Thank you. I stand here today surrounded by my Republican colleagues, ready to defend the children of the state of Maine and of this country from LD 1735, a bill that seeks to steal mental, emotional, and physical well-being and health from our children. This legislation was introduced quietly and under the cloak of a busy session last year. The people of Maine, the people of this country, do not want this bill. They are asking us at gas stations, at grocery stores, is this really true? Is this really going to happen? And we stand here together to say, not on our watch. Gender-affirming care is none other than a deceptively worded phrase built to hide the horror that has become the social phenomenon of gender transitioning, a belief that a child is not good enough in their own body, but must attempt to find peace and acceptance by transforming their body through Frankenstein surgeries and hormones. We don't buy into this argument, but we stand here to say children are precious in the body they were given by God, and to say otherwise to them is another form of abuse. A child who is struggling with gender dysphoria should be offered a safe and comforting environment. 99% of that time, that is with their parent. The other side will say a parent is the abusive one. They are not. A parent is the only one that is going to forever love this child. Not the state of Maine, not a therapist, not a surgeon, a parent. And they must be able to hold the rights to their child. What is the big deal? What's the tragedy? Hormone replacement therapy and gender surgery produce irreversible harm and devastation to children before they are old enough even to understand the consequences of losing their fertility, their sexuality, and their physical health. A child should not be able to sterilize themselves when they don't even have a driver's license. A child should never be allowed to mutilate their body to the point of no return when they can't even vote. The truth is that even after hormones or surgery, people who have attempted to become another gender are 19 times more likely to kill themselves. LD 1735 is a death sentence to children. There can be no other way to look at it. We do not support this bill, and we will continue to fight this bill, and we ask the Democrats in the committee today to vote no on passing this bill. Thank you. Senator Kine.
Thank you. You can see the passion in all of our colleagues today, because there really is absolutely no more destructive bill to families, to parents, and to children, not only just in Maine, but across the entire nation. We absolutely must stop this bill. Children, they are not able to have informed consent on something that can destroy their lives forever. We just passed a bill that would ban children from using a tanning bed until they're 18 years old. And yet we would allow them to mar their bodies for life when they don't even understand the consequences. This type of treatment is not well researched. It's using our children as guinea pigs. We do not yet know even the full consequences of what these types of hormones or gender treatment therapy would do. And the reason we're all here today is because this is the most dangerous bill this session to children. It completely erodes parental rights. And what right would a doctor have to tell my child, what is a doctor? A person that has gone to school for 10 years? Do they have the right to tell my child that they should transition and this is going to be a better life for them when they're just going to get their money and walk away? And the state of Maine would say it's okay to give this person that's had 10 years of schooling that type of right in my child's life? What is wrong with the people that even introduced this bill, that they do not see the harm that we are inflicting on children and the destruction that we are making to families by ripping parents away from their children based on something that no one even knows what the final impact would be? Children are precious. Their bodies are healthy and good, and what we need to do with our children is love them and help them to find a way to wholeness, to align themselves with where they are and to know that they are good. We do not support anything like this bill, and no one does in the entire nation. As has been stated, we're hearing from everyone. With that, we're happy to take questions.
So yeah, we'll just go around. We just one or two real quick we could take if there are any. As you heard today, there is no version of this bill which Republicans are going to support. This thing is going to die in flames as long as we have anything to say about that. And certainly too, the last point I'll make, if you're ticked off at all that this is even being considered, vote accordingly. Support your local Republican candidates. This is what happens when people fall asleep at the wheel. Crazy stuff like this. If you're wondering how we got here, it's because folks let it happen. Take back control of this state, take back control of your own families, and vote accordingly this November. Happy to answer any questions anybody has. Yep.
Just on the issue of parental rights, what if both parents, legal guardians or both parents, are involved in the decision-making for the child? Does that change anything, or are you against parents who are in on the process?
Who are interested in changing the gender of their minor child?
Yeah.
There's no scenario where that would be anything in my mind other than child abuse. Even if they are in fact the guardian, and the state ought to be stepping in those instances and doing something about it to protect that child. Any other questions? Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it. We'll see you later.